almost 9:30. 9 minutes to 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. Australian dollars coming into the fill zone. Huge smash down. Go figure. Go to the trustee order banks. Grab the appropriate script, which would be anything cheaper than where we are now, because we're coming down hard. I say let's go to the 20 pip stops to start it off. I gotta get to the folder first. Here it is. There's a ton of shit in here. I'm gonna go for these really wide stops, I think. So I don't have to babysit the market. My favorites. Hopefully they're still here. Okay. So this is a 20 pip stop. This market's not that vicious, so I'm going to delete those objects. I just want to make sure they were coming in. I'm going to stretch out the chart, and I don't think I got filled yet. So I got this whole, this is like catching fish, you got to give it some line. I definitely think we're going to retest that wick. So if you're looking at it like this, I'm risking $20 to make $20. I'm going to put all those tickets interwoven. Then I'm going to come in here and say, do I have $20? Do I have $20 to make $20? Break evens. 20 to make 30. I'm giving the market 8 hours to drop down here. We're still up on this account. So now I can trade this with stops, which I have been trading this account with stops, actually. This is plan your trade, trade your plan. So it looks very likely we can come back here. It doesn't look impossible. So it doesn't matter whether I have this 4-period cloud. It's always going to be about buying this insanity. Although, if you were to add to a winning position in trend trading, you would definitely have to buy every pullback in this green cloud. You bought here, you bought here, you bought here, you bought here, buy. But at some point, they're going to crush you. Low volatility here for 6 hours. Trapping people to the top. You get your first top bottom, the cloud turns blue perfectly. Of course, this was, if you had gone long here, much better than Renko. If you gone long here, and you're scooping out this vacuum, confirmation people come in there, and then here's the big triangle, wave 4, or wave 2. Extension waves. If you're an Elliottian, these are all extensions. These are all reaccumulation phase. And they get shallower, and then there's the blow off top. This is the makeup sucks, and then you get divorced. And here's the relief of not having to... looks like... So here it looks like it's getting away from us. And this is the hard part, because, I would typically come in here and buy at the market, but I don't think you have to. If you look at the 5-minute chart, you'd probably feel like, oh my God, look at this thing's turning around, but I don't think it is. So the nice thing about this cloud is that we're dealing with, I did build one earlier, the 6 period, so I stretched it out to 6. So method 1 or method 3, I can't remember. But it gives you an idea of how vicious this move is, because the more vicious, the bigger the lingering cloud recent moving average histogram. Where on the 15, you kind of picture in your mind's eye what it's going to look like before you get there, so you get used to, the 1 minute it's like, holy shit. Like right here, huge. I mean, it actually gaps away from the cloud there, which I didn't like when I first was playing around with this because I wanted that to be all filled in. Like this is a huge, but it's so ahead of itself. And if I ran a 6 period behind it as a backdrop, it would look, smoother. I'm also using like a 12 pip bar on top of the whole story. With the white period, I could take the moving average off, but I kind of want to know structurally what's going on there. So if I perceive this as a head and shoulders pattern, shoulder, climax, head, and shoulder, here is the first glimmer of the trend. So this would be wave 0, 1, and this should be wave 3, which have the biggest trail. And then the count would just start over. You could just do 1, 2, 3 counts all day. So I still think we could retest. This is the 1 minute chart. You could go smashing down at any moment. It's still in a downtrend, and trend traders should love moving averages. So it's not for everybody, because if we take a look at this bottom and carry it forward, we do get a top bottom on the 5 minute, which is, now you could say, I'll take that trade because the consensus on 4 period, high, low, close, this is a blend. This is the Heikin-Ashi smooth. I'm making a baby cloud out of it. And here may be too much. You would get whipsawed if you took every color switch here, right? So you kind of got to get a feel for this, that this is a triple bottom in closing prices, and this is kind of not worth trading unless you are just trying to make beer. This is coming into Asia. You can't make too much. So I'm going to go right here with this really tight entry now. And now I'm going to get all crazy. I'll put 50 pip stops on this one to make 100, 50 to here to make 100. This is cost me $50 for 4 hours. These are 10Ks, 1 pip apart. So 4 hours isn't that bad. Now 2 hours. Now this is a little bit less risky because this ticket's going to last for 2 hours. 20 pip stop to make 40. And the longer it kind of, I can get into like 80K here. But just this one currency for right now. I can't go to the yen right now and drop the same scheme because I'd have to think about where we are in the big structure. So on the daily, we may just be merely coming back to this top on the daily right now. Tomorrow's Wednesday. We could crush all the way back to like here. But my orders aren't even that deep. But you're asking the market to get here in 8 hours. It's like, when do you think we're going to get there? And all my entries are blue right now. So everything I'm about to get filled on would be blue. And that would be about right in the middle of the road. That's a daily. 4 hours, different story. If you were going to sell every rally into the cloud, a 4 period moving average, you might as well, right? I mean, use the idea of a 20 EMA. What's the point? By the time you get there, the party's over. I just don't get that lag. Why the MACD so long? This, if you're gonna trade momentum, you want to have a tight, snug. I do. I want snug switches. And if this thing goes all black on the bars, that means that actually the natural volatility has overcome the cloud. I mean, they've come to such rest that since the cloud's taking into consideration the highs and lows, it's almost like a volatility envelope in histogram form. Here we see the structure is more important than the colors, though, because this double bottom becomes a top, and this should be our next place to get in heavy, super heavy. So on the 4 hour chart, you got to think a little bit further out, because if you can, I can see that they're going to hunt this stop. This is in fact, they just nicked it. Okay. We could still blow all the way to here, though. And if that doesn't happen, then just look at the half hour. There's plenty of time to get in the half hour chart. The half hour chart has no fucking sense that it's going to give up getting pounded down. So I have not traded at the market yet, and I don't think I have to. Here it's not done tanking. Here it's just started. I mean, we are only into the, okay, so we just closed out the half hour boom. I don't think it's going to turn around. Just because it's about a half hour doesn't mean this thing has to turn around. And it's sitting right up on the abyss. So now I'm going to get really risky, and I'm going to put the 30 pip stops in below here because I detect there could be some drama. And just be done with it. Now, whether we make it back above the new highs, and I actually make these targets, isn't the point. The point is, we're letting the market come to us. I'm only down 86 cents right now. And I got a nice diversification of price entry. I'm up 82 cents on about 13K. I'm up $2. So that's how you trade it, because what is the point in trying to get in at the exact low? And if it goes up here, you'd say, well, you didn't buy enough. Right, so you're always trying to do better for the sizing. But first you got to get your foot in the water and not be afraid to buy these giant plunges and realize that just because this went ripping down in a half hour doesn't mean every half hour it's going to rip down the same amount. Although it seems like it. If you bought here on this pullback and you thought this was a top becoming a bottom, so you loaded the wagon. If you did not scalp out into this double bottom here, it's lights out. You have to perceive this too. That's the top bottom game is just a natural pivot. Everybody's doing the same trade. Right? That's why it does such a move there. Everybody's doing kind of the same it works out until it doesn't. So we had the same setup back here. We got although it kind of cuts back through, but it does survive it here on this next touch here. And then we actually have a fourth touch, and then it really takes off quite nicely. Very quickly, in an hour and a half, it's totally gone ballistic. And so here I'd just be waiting to get filled on limits, because we'll probably be like $10 underwater at some point here coming up. Now, it may seem like, oh, look at that, I'm right. Yeah, you're right about that, but we haven't even filled up. We want to get to like about $150K a margin, $150 a margin. Then we can make some money. And what is money? So for some people, $300 a day is money trading. That's good money. Some people want to make $1,000 a day because they already make $1,000 a day. Whatever that number is for you. And then, if you want to make more, yeah, it's going to be brutal. You're probably going to, if you want to trade with a 300 pip stop on this 4-hour chart, you know, sure. I mean, you're going to put orders down here, obviously. If you're really looking for some psychotic price action, you've got like just... this is going on. You've got orders all the way down here for the next week. And you're like, yeah, I know that's going to be a fucking amazing entry. But it's like all spread out. Why would you want to fucking make one decision? Who would even think about using a Fibonacci to the nth degree? Like, everybody that's ever used it, I've ever seen, they go, well, it's somewhere around there. Well, why are you using 6.8? Why don't you just use 64%, 72%, 75.5%, 78.3%? I mean, once you figure out that if you were going to scale into something, you know, I mean, you have more than one gear on your car, even an automatic transmission, at least you got 3 speeds. So anyways, that's the plan for tonight. And then I've got this these two templates that I've been working on. I'm going to throw it on this, the Guppy. So here, I threw it on here. It's slightly different than the one we just looked at. And not by much. It's actually a longer cloud. But yeah, I can see the story here. I think this looks like we've pulled back. We got a top become a double bottom. Like I said, I think the pound is going up. Stock market's going to go screaming up. Oil's going up. And you better save some money because everything's going to get really expensive really fast. This crude oil is unstoppably going to here. It's if not here, is completely on its hair. Those are the two obstacles. The other thing is that people will be scalping off of this top all the way to that. So this is a big deal. 64. Wow. But all you have to do is have something go wrong somewhere. So what I see here is the scariest thing I've ever seen for the bears is that you could make the argument that we're going back to test this top and this whole thing here. This could be expensive. And if that's true, whatever's going to happen when we get to, are we ever going to see this price again? Can you imagine? In the next, oh my God. So if you did a channel projection there, of course, if you just took the, let's assume that's a reversal, and then take the highest close within there. That's the most optimistic view of the price pulse projection. That takes you back to these lows. And, I mean, just to see this price, $92. Of course, I don't know. We were just back there. That's only 4 years ago. I don't know what gasoline was there, but it's got to be expensive, right? Anyways, this should be bizarre. Then we have stock market screaming north. Absolutely on fire. We're making one step beyond here. We're going to cut into the dailies walking north. Unbelievable. No sense of any type of, unless you think that's the shoulder. I would say good luck with that. That means you're saying this is the shoulder head. Shoulder. If this was the shoulder, and this is all you could get out of it, then maybe that's the case. That's all she could give. And here we go up to the, got to get through this pocket. Yeah, it's going to be something else. Let's see what else was there. Nasdaq's leading the way, though. This thing's sneaking across the border like a Mexican. Look at this thing. Are you kidding me? You can't beat software. You can put it in your pocket and you can leave the country and nobody's going to know. It could be a Bitcoin or it could be like a script. So you're on your own. You got your own private files now. Yeah, so this is quite the situation. Very impressive. Very amazing. The markets are going to be crazy. People are just going to be dumbfounded. They say, I don't get it. Yeah, the dollar looks bullish. Look at this thing. Dollar up. I say inflation across the boards. Boy, this pound New Zealand came up back off the floor. It changed its tune. Damn. See, this thing's a clean break. Once it got out of that 150 pip range on the daily. Look at this nice clean goober entry. Filled on the North Shore only hedge. Stop hedge entry, 150 pip risk to make 200. Pretty dumb shit trade. Of course, this one you got stopped out of. Right, this was, but still, if you had a stop there, if you had several orders in. Of course, this was the big turnaround. Now this is the selling zone again. I just threw a bunch of sell limits up there. You always got to sell high. I think the shocking thing is when people get filled on the first ticket and they go underwater. But there's no way around that. It's like you might get a 2-acre piece of land and only be able to use 1 acre because there's a creek running through it. So you don't have control of the terrain. Unfortunately. Boy, they sure, the pound sure took off in a lickety-split kind of anxious manner there. Looks very dramatic on the 1 hour. So here you don't need the cloud necessarily. Now, here, because it's just black bars, it really shows up. All you have here is structure, double bottom. You could say this is the shoulder here. I mean, that's an obvious clothesline. Trapped in the auction window. Underneath this basement here, this undercut that goes back on the 1 hour chart. So this is like jigsaw trading here. And also here, once you start filling that, you're already above that. So a very aggressive trader would buy this stop in anticipation of this stop hunt. So they're buying here, bam, 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 bam. Then they really load up. And then they were prepared to buy more maybe. And they didn't get filled. But the exit for this has to be, once you get filled here, you have to know this is a recent low. So we expect sellers to come in there, and here too, this is the last known low. And they're cashed out, and of course that is the quickest money you'll ever make in Forex. Is that kind of move. I mean, you're out. You're out. It's the fastest money. Because look how hard that thing comes flying back. It's ridiculous. You ain't got time to get out of that trade. If you didn't nail it right here, you had 10 minutes to get the fuck out of that. And maybe less. Maybe it's on the 1 minute chart, it's like 2 spikes up there. It's not like you have a whole 5 minutes to get out there. Now it comes ripping back here. On the 5 minute chart, you got a buy limit sitting here, maybe. So here I'm going to put in a 8 hour order. That's just a 3K. 8 pip stop. That's a scalp. So I could stack these up for 8 hours. These are scalps. 8 to make 18. And it doesn't look like that bad a trade plan, because if you crush into this thing, you better get out on something. And 18 might be asking too much. It looks good on the 15, and here it's pure structure. You don't have a cloud to make an at-the-glance look. So the only cool thing about the cloud is it's like, boom, you look at it, and, it has this instantaneous, like, for people that don't really want to think about it. Oh, it's, if you go to the daily chart or the weekly chart, now you have to go hunting for whether you want to buy or sell, though. Here you'd be saying, oh, it should have sold here. You really have to still, you can't get around the structure problem. I don't think you can. I mean, this is too brutal. You could say stuff like, well, on the monthly I should be trading, but it's not going to help you if you're range trading. So it takes a little more thinking about holes and velocity of the market here. Steepness of your trend line matters. Here you're letting the computer do the math on the trend line. Like I can already see this would be like a huge hole above it. I think that's obvious. Here, depending which currency at what time. Now, this is really range trading as far as I'm concerned. The color of that wouldn't matter, but I'm not using it for that. I'm actually looking at the vacuum color. I'm looking at where people's money management's coming in. They're getting stopped out, or somebody's scalping a breakout confirmation on the weekly, if you can only imagine how insane that would be. But you can see the brutalness of the moves, I think, as you start to see that hidden color pop out, wow, that's a vicious down move, or that's a vicious up move. But yeah, it's you'd have to, and you'd probably want to know the math on all those things. So that's another problem with that view of the market. Here, it's a clear situation of, well, this is the facts. We have support here. That's a 1 hour ticket. So the 1 hour tickets I'm going to run really close because I'm saying you better get down here and crush out these 15-minute stops here. And come on, come get me. Now here's the 4 hour with a 50 pip stop in a 10 pip range. That's pretty aggressive. Here's a 30 pip stop to make 80. And this broker let me load up quite a bit of tickets. Here I would sell up here. So here's like a 1 hour script. I can put that on the 100-yard line I don't think it'll get filled. Here I could put them up here for an hour. Or 8 hours just above that. And we're up $5. And I took on some more tickets. So let's go see what we were doing here before this started. I think we were on the yen. Oh, fuck. It was the pound. Oh, Australian dollar. Here. So the one that we just got picked up on some more tickets here without getting in the market. Here was the half hour. And we almost retested the end of that half hour. So in the end, it's always going to be the range for me, the structure. It looks cool to have the colors on there, but I don't need it. Because it's always going to be the range and the structure and the time frame. It's a 30-minute chart, 4 hour chart. As soon as we came into here, I knew I wanted to buy. Anything below that was ripe for the pickings, and those guys have scalped out. If you go to the 5-minute chart, the trend, we just got a crossover in the moving average to change the color of the cloud. Not on the 15, though. 15 is still bearish, still trapped underneath this area here. This is the big floor, I think, and here's where the bottom became a top in time. 15-minute chart, bam, down. And we're still trapped below that. If I let this play out, we should cash out into that floor on something. If it doesn't get there, ideally I want it to keep going up. Because if I'm looking at the daily chart, I'm seeing this structure on the daily. So maybe we've dipped and we just took out the low yesterday. Maybe that's all we needed by like 1 pip. So here I could add a very focused order, very large. It's very high probability scalp. I could be scalped out right now. See that? We just took out the low. So that's not a candle wick here. That's just one of the shadows of the cloud. The actual these aren't candlesticks. It's just like that's the bar. So that is the low. And this is a fairly quiet day. These are brutal days here. When they went and chopped this out, right? They stop hunted 3 days back. Right, that's the vacuum. Fill it, bam, blow out the top, then rip it back to here eventually after trapping. And there's the structure top. You have to ignore the cloud there. That's why some people can't handle it. You have to see just this aspect. And that was a big deal. We didn't fill up there. We could have, but look how we filled right on the top. So your biggest order has to be here to sell. And you're going to put in sell limits all the way up to here. But as you come up here, you martingale in, so it's very fat. Just like this, if you bought new lows, you're buying it here, but they never came back to here. So if you're stepping in at the end of the day because you're down, then even without the cloud, you would have bought here. You would have bought here, and because it's down, you would have bought here and here. And those are the only 3 down days other than this one, which is not really down, so you don't buy a lot when it's. You buy more, the more it's down, the more you buy. So you would have bought here heavy, here heavy, here not so heavy. Then you buy here really heavy, and maybe not so heavy there, but you don't touch it because it comes all the way back to there. And even this ticket becomes a winner eventually. Daily chart, right? Daily chart. You got to take some heat. Plus, you see this hole. Hopefully, you see this hole. You can't look at that cloud and make. That's not enough. This is the big deal. Is that goes on fair, comes back to fair, ticks around, cuts back, and engulfs. Anyways, that's the story. It's better to look at the structure and the volatility. That's all you need. You don't really need the opening price. You don't really need the cloud. It's cute. But you can't just blindly go with the colors on it, okay? You have to have some thought. It may be too much to look at all that stuff. This is without closing prices. This is almost a better view because this really emphasizes the range, which is the most critical factor. I just have a little, so it's just on the grid. But yeah, the way you look at these things matters. The dollar yen took out the low down here and just reversed very hard. And you probably wouldn't notice this if you're looking at a moving average. That's the critical turnaround point. And I suppose this is the obvious exit. So you're above your profit window. If you had an order sitting here, yeah, take something off the table there. Because you couldn't be assured it was going to engulf that. That's a weekly. So the daily, it looks like this. And that looks pretty logical. So here you actually probably conservatively got out here on this wick. And then your kind of long-legged exit's going to be here on this this bottom here. I think you can see how complicated it is. So yeah, trade at your own risk there. You need to figure out how much you're going to risk. New Zealand's going to get crushed. I think they're going to take this puppy all the way back to here. They trapped every goober on the planet up here in this window. Bullish for the dollar. Dollar's getting ready to go up against the yen. Guppy's going to kill the yen. Pound's going to kill the yen. And the euro's coming all the way back to the starting gate. In the blue cloud, amazingly, another sell-off in the euro. After successfully trapping every bull up here. Look, it's going up. Wah, wah, wah. But we could buy here on plunge. I'll buy this into for the next 4 hours. I like that. I'll buy low. I'm in. So far. Oh, we're up $8. Now we're getting hammered again by the Australian dollar. Half-hour chart. New lows, just like I told you. So, once again, here they come. But we're still not in big enough. We need to get into $100 of currency there to get the real full effect. It's dropping like a rock. Yep, so that's how that rolls. Waiting to get filled. Got $1,500. I'm $15,000. We're only in $27 a margin. I feel very confident. I don't want to babysit this shit. So here, throw some orders in here. Go to sleep. Worry about it in the morning. Maybe even could put some 8-pip stops in there for kicks. There you go. That's all there is to it.